Well. We back, good people. Close out Monday. Well, hopefully it's not a close out Monday, but we'll see. Talking about the Lakers. All right. So, okay, good people. We are back for another open court discussion in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co-host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis. We never know who will be joining us on the panel, so if it's you, let's get at it. Recap from this past Monday's broadcast. We had a special guest who happened to be a dentist, Dr. Kurt Quigless, owner of Dr. Q's Fresh Breath Club. Go back and check out the broadcast where we discuss some very informative info. And if you're interested in his products, check out his webpage, www.drqfreshbreath.com, or place an order at drq's.myshopify.com/love for sale. I'll have to put that in the links eventually. The replay could be seen on the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Okay, moving on to tonight's show, May 22nd. We will discuss the pros and cons of youth travel sports. Yeah, and what brought about this is in a conversation with one of my friends who were saying that she simply doesn't get time for herself. And she works full time. And when she gets off work, she's going to games, practices. And it's like a 7-day thing. And on the weekends, traveling out of the city. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot. That is a lot. And I understand in some ways on why, you want to give your child the best shot. You want to keep them busy, especially during this time. But again, on both parties, the body only could take so much. The body only could take so much wear and tear. It would be no different than a car going up and down the road, up and down the road, up and down the road. Eventually, you're gonna have some issues with it. So let me just tell you a couple to get it going. A couple pros to youth travel sports: friendship and community. Build friendships. Sometimes you're playing with the same people for years, starting off at a young age through high school, and you build a camaraderie together. It's like that type of bond with sports is, it's a great feeling. It's great because you become family, and you have a lot of great discussions, and you get close with each other. Number two, potential scholarship opportunities. If you're good and you put in the work and you're excelling, some athletes excel in multiple sports and they have options, then there's going to be scholarship opportunities for you. And trust me, in this day and age, with how much college costs, you need every penny you can get. Number three, increase self esteem and confidence. Not everybody is born with like high levels of self esteem or confidence, but sometimes sports can do it. Sometimes sports can do it. You got the coaches, and then you may be excelling at that, and it may be something you may not be a great student, but when you out on that court or the baseball field or soccer, um, you put in work, and you start feeling good about yourself. And once a champion, always a champion. So nothing can take that away. And I don't care if it's the simplest sport. If you win a championship, you're a champion, and you know what it takes to become a champion. So keep that in mind. Okay, some cons, because there's always some downsides to everything. It requires a lot from parents. And like I said, they're up and down the road. They're working. You're paying. Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. But it requires a lot. So they're trying to multitask. And then also, if it's a two-parent household and you got multiple kids, not all kids are in the sports. So one parent has to be the one that kind of goes chaperone, and the other one is, maintaining a household. And it gets to be a lot. Like I said, a lot of wear and tear. And some parents are just dedicated and they're willing to do anything to make their child's life better in that regard. It could be hard on your body. Remember what I said about it, the wear and tear on your body. And people don't people think, oh, they're young, they'll be okay. But gradually, as they get older, and even sometime in college or get to the NBA, after all those years of intense training and playing sports, you start having nagging injuries. Even if you think about like baseball, sometimes you have these young pitchers that's throwing at a young age, throwing 75, 80 miles per hour. And eventually they start having issues with their arm once they make it. And it's that wear and tear. You got to have time for the body to rest.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, let's be honest too, that these travel sports teams, they making money. So they're going to keep it going. But as a parent, you may have to say, listen, you need to relax for a month. You need to take some time. We'll pick this back up in a couple months. And also, you got to think they just can't be a. Sometimes you have to make a conscious decision to say, do I want them playing four or five, being in four or five different travel leagues with different sports, or do I want to break this down and say the best ones that they're in, and then focus on that? So that's just something to think about too. And then finally, expensive. Like I said, traveling up and down the road, um, paying for hotels, food and lodging, and all of that stuff, um, equipment for the sports, footwear, and different things, or whether ice skates, soccer cleats, football cleats. So it all adds up. So, okay, now that I really have your attention, make sure if you tuned in, make sure that like and share the video, tell a friend or family member to subscribe to the YouTube channel of the Controversial Counselor. Right now, we're sitting at, I think, 676 subs. So 24 away to make our short term goal of 700. And we're moving on to try to get through the 700s. So here we are. We're here tonight. So Herb was good.
Sometimes I gotta laugh at myself because I'm such an idiot. I'm looking at the smaller print and I see a speck of dust or what I think is a speck of dust, only to realize it's the light switch. Yes, my couch is still standing up in the corner, people, just in case don't like it. Anyway, just so people realize, look, we bring this information to you just so you guys are hopefully a little bit more aware of the things that go on this planet, certainly in this country and around you. We are not subject matter experts. So if you find something that contradicts what we say, please bring it to our attention. And with that said, jump on into it. At the cornerstone of everything we do in life is discipline. Sports, there's no exceptions to that. And with AAU, David mentioned the top ones that we tend to think about, but we often don't think about the other ones, whether it's softball, soccer, swimming. We used to have a panel member that had his own travel league in terms of track and field. So youth sports has become a really, really, I'm not going to call it a cash cow, but it's become a huge financial endeavor for a lot of people. And as David said, with these tournaments and the time commitment that a lot of parents engage in, it can be cost prohibitive. I know when we would take our AAU team out of town for a tournament, and tournaments generally last no more than 2 days. We would get there Friday afternoon, because usually we travel somewhere that was within us about a 6-hour drive. So we never went too far past Pittsburgh. I know there are sometimes tournaments that you can fly to depending on the notoriety. You have people that are supported by NBA players such as LeBron James, who has his own camp. And we have another gentleman that's from the area, Paul Harris. He's starting his own basketball camp. Now, I'm not saying Paul is in AAU. I'm just simply saying that that's what a lot of the stuff stems from, is kids being put into basketball camps so they can hone their skills, so they can get better. And that's not a bad thing if properly managed. And this is something that David was saying. You get a lot of parents that suffer from burnout. I know at the place I work at, during the hockey season, sometimes we would get upwards of 2 tournaments per month. And we're talking about people that will come from about 6, 7, 8 hours away. They're paying upwards of, just for the equipment alone for 1 year, they're paying anywhere from $3,000 upwards to $4,000. That's just for the equipment. So we're talking skates, sticks, because you can't just use one stick, because some of them sticks tend to bend. And those aluminum shaft sticks, they run upwards of $300, $400, $500. Skates, a good pair, you're looking at close to $1,000. So it gets costly. And we're not even talking about the going to downtown expenses. So all of that stuff, it comes into play. It really does. So like David said, the camaraderie, academic scholarships, you get to travel with your friends, play with your friends, hang out. All this is stuff that is fantastic. And I would never tell anybody, don't. If you can afford it, put your child in amateur athletics. I would tell them to monitor how much time that child has to be a child. You don't want to push your, whether it's a daughter, because make no mistake about it, there are girls who are getting into this as well. We tend to focus on boys because boys seem to make up the predominance of athletes, but with Title IX, that is slowly transitioning to more of a harmonic balance, if you will. So make sure that they have time to actually be a child. Make sure that they actually go out and do all those childhood things, because a lot of these kids, matter of fact, less than 1/10 of 1% of these kids are gonna go pro, and that's what a lot of these parents are banking on. And I don't think you should use amateur athletics in that regard. Honestly, I don't. If you want your kid to be good, that's fine. You want them to excel, that's fine. But if you're looking at trying to make them go pro or something of that nature, scholarship, absolutely. If you think your child has a chance of getting a collegiate scholarship, whether it's to a D1 school, D1 AA, I think D2 might offer partial scholarships. By all means, I think the investment made up front will pay off on the back end, because that's money you don't have to come out of your pocket for college education. And college is getting expensive, and a lot of people, they think that's the way to get to middle class standards. So you have people that don't even consider the blue collar trades or skills. And I'm not here to tell a parent what to do. I'm just, like I said, we just give information. So what I found out was the AAU circuit itself has 55 districts covering 41 sports. Over 150,000 volunteers and over 700 people actually working in the field. Whether they're paid, whether they're paid or not is a different story. I don't know who gets paid or whatever the case is. I know what I did. I didn't receive anything. Matter of fact, I paid out money, and I was happy to do it because it was what I perceived was giving back to the community, that helped me get to where I am. A lot of these kids in some of these communities, they don't have places where they can go play sports. They don't have anybody who will organize a league for them. So them playing basketball or some type of football, whatever the case is, they don't have a clue how to do it. They don't. Most of them don't know the rules. If you ask them, hey, well, where your friends are? Why don't y'all go play a game of baseball? How do you play baseball? Where do we get bats from? When we were kids, we played with tennis ball. We just got in a lot and played. That was our AAU. We go across town to play with some other kids. That was our AAU. Now all this stuff is highly regimented. You know, you got to do this, you got to do this, and some of the better programs, the better RAM programs, they will have all that stuff set up for the kids. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. And it's regimented to the point where the kids don't get to enjoy it. And I think that's the number one thing. There's so much emphasis put on winning that if these kids lose, they think it's the end of the world. And I think that's harmful. No matter what sport you play, no matter what you do, there's always going to be a loser. And if you don't understand, or a coach can get the player to understand that a part of the game is losing, and you have to find a way to lose graciously, then you're going to set your child up for a life of disappointment, because very few people win all the time. It's life. Everybody loses at something. So the question becomes, how do you handle that losing? And it's in there, inevitably, that the lessons of life should come forward. And that's where the parents have to step in. If you see a coach or a program not helping your child to build good character, because ultimately that's what sports was about for a lot of people. It was never about just always winning. It was about giving it your best. It was about doing what you can to help your team win. And if you can't, hey, that's okay. The sun's going to set today. You're going to go to sleep. The sun's going to rise tomorrow. And you're going to get up and you're going to do something else.
So you touched on a lot of things, but before I add my 2 or 3 cents, I want to bring in, hey, Shaughnessy, how you doing?
Hey y'all. Hey.
What's going on?
To touch on what I agree with everything that Herb was saying. Again, it is very, very expensive. It gets expensive, but after a while, I did do the AAU with Zion for a year. The reason that I stopped was because I found that it was taking from Layla. So it was like Layla was always at basketball practice. Layla is always having to travel. And she doesn't really get to do anything. Like, she wanted to cheer, but I couldn't cheer because I can't be 2 places at once. And even when I did, everybody does everything on Saturday. So then I ran into which child's thing am I going to go to today? Am I going to go to his, or am I going to, like, it gets difficult with that. With the burnout though, after a while, once you build that friendship with the other moms, it gets easier because the kids start to go together. So you don't have to go to every single practice. Because there's always a switch up of moms, like, hey, this week or on Tuesdays I come get the boys, and on Thursdays she goes and gets the boys, or we'll drop them off or we'll pick them up, and those things like that. So that was a good thing to kind of eliminate the burnout. I don't think that's pretty much it, was, getting burned out from, always being at those practices, always having to do something, their schedule being thicker than yours. But what I did like about it is it built up a camaraderie, and now you have a group of boys, you have a group of men that want to see all of these, regardless of whether they win and losing, whatever, they want to see all these boys win. So even if they do have that father figure, they have a whole bunch of other males around them to support them in anything that they do. And it brings a lot of motivation outside of school to do good at school. And it builds character, it builds discipline, I've seen a lot of things good come from it. It brings a friendly dynamic of competition when report cards come out and everybody wants to do good. So that was definitely a good thing. And just you have this little network, regardless of what it is that you need, of people that are raising kids, boys, and you know, it's just like you have that village that a lot of the times we're missing in our community. But I don't. It just depends on. Honestly, to me, it depends on your place in life. It depends on where you are. If you don't have that straight 9 to 5, and again, financially you can do it. It'll work. If you're 9 to 5, you could take off here, leave early here, do this. It works. But outside of that, it gets tough. It definitely gets tough. But I don't think it's a negative. Too many negatives.
No, other than as far as the negatives, is again we touched on it. The burnout, expenses. Herb mentioned making sure your child has a life because they have to have time that they can go to birthday parties, go roller skating, or just be a kid. You don't want to, kids like, oh, we invited you here. Nah, I got another tournament to go to. I'm not going to be around. Then eventually they'll say, well, what's the point of inviting you? Because you never could show up. And then kids are petty and they'll alienate themselves from that person. And so, you're building one community with your teammates, but then probably some of your other friends, your lifelong friends that you went to school with all your life, they may be saying like, he or she is too busy for us, and they do stuff like that. But so you want to always try to have some type of balance for them. And then Herb also mentioned it also sports leads to depression too for some because of the competitiveness and things of that nature. And we're in that era of a lot of crap talkers. You talk junk to each other, and sometimes that stuff seeps in your head. And if you ain't performing,
brutal too.
Oh yeah, the parents.
For the worst. Some of these fathers, these fathers be getting ejected, mothers getting ejected. And it's just like, yo, y'all gotta chill because these is kids playing basketball.
Yeah, and they make it bad for kids because they're under a lot of pressure. And you might have one father whose son he's killing your son, and then next thing you know, they're going back and forth, and then you as a father, instead of sitting your ass down on the bench, you at halftime, you all up on the court. Oh, you better do this to him. You better do that. He doing it. It's a lot for a kid, and it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be having fun playing. Because realize some people are going to be better than you, and they may have a little advantage over it. All you can do is give it your best.
Right.
I will tell you what, having been on the sidelines and in the stands when some parents react, the underside of ugly, I'm telling you, boy, you be sitting back there talking about, is this real? Did I just see a parent do that? You have some parents that will not allow a coach to coach. So it puts a coach in a really, really precarious position when that coach is going to teach. And sometimes, as a coach, you have to get on a player. And if you have a parent who is sensitive to a coach who's aggressively speaking, I'm not talking about grabbing, shaking, I'm just saying getting into the faces and raising their voice and say, hey, look, you can't do that. It hurts the team. All of a sudden, y'all, you have a parent that'll pull that child out of the program and they're looking for another program to put that child in. Now, indirectly, what they're teaching that child is, look, you don't have to stand for somebody trying to correct your mistakes. You don't have to stand for somebody that speaks to you in a way that you don't like. they're setting that child up, excuse me, to become defiant towards improvement and authority. And what do we see in schools nowadays? People who don't like authority. That's a bad thing. I don't care who says what. Anytime you're trying to buck the system because you don't like the way somebody's speaking to you, but they're trying to get you to understand something, so you think you can go someplace else and do that same thing, newsflash, you're going to be in for a rude awakening, and you have nobody to blame but your parents, because your parents set you up for that. So when we see these clips of these kids acting out of school, wanting to get up in an adult's face, on the teacher's face, on that admin's face, that's generally where it starts at. The one other thing that Shaughnessy mentioned on, and I want to expand on, actually two things I want to expand on. One is the built-in community. If you happen to be a mother without a strong masculine presence for your child, whether it's a son or a daughter, you're gonna find a lot of support in AAU. I remember my first tournament I went to, and I was just I was dumbfounded by the number of people who were there that were adults that were just there for the benefit of the kid. And I tell you what, as adults, you make connections with those people and you borrow from those people. So you really start to create a network of people that are there for the same purpose. And you start to ask, well, why don't more people do this? I think that honestly, a lot of people always look at the bad side of amateur athletic. AAU stands for Amateur Athletic Union, just in case people don't know. I'm not aware of who knows or who doesn't know. But it is literally, when done right, it is an absolute beautiful thing. The other thing I want to mention that Shaughnessy talked about is the other side that isn't spoken about much. It can also isolate kids who are good enough to play, but they don't have the funding. That's another thing that a lot of people don't consider, because you have them kids that are just born naturally athletic.
Yep.
They don't have the opportunity to express that. So there are no pickup games in these neighborhoods where you have a lot of kids that are participating in AAU sports. There are no.
They don't have. Well, I guess, yeah. It's location. I was just about to say the YMCA's and all of them. They play basketball there.
Yeah, but this is the thing that a lot of people don't realize. You have some AAU programs.
And
Let's see. Go ahead, Shaughnessy. Look like she might be having connection issues.
She heading
Children
into
in
the
the
casino.
Huh?
She heading into.
It sounded like you were intermittent. You were coming in and out. Your mic was.
Oh, when they say black men are not there for their children, go to an AAU game. Go there consistently. You will see black men show up and showing up for their children.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to believe that, black men at fault are at default for not being there for their kids, you'll see it. You'll see it.
This is why I no longer argue the point. I'm like, I can always tell who has their finger on the pulse of society and different aspects of society. And I'm just like, when people making them statements, I'm just like, you know what? You're living under a rock. Get from underneath the rock. Go do things.
Oh, that's another pro. It's a lot of eye candy at these AAU games. Man, oh man, oh man. It's a lot of eye candy. And I'd be like, dang, because when most of the time that Zion was doing basketball, my boyfriend was around. But
She's like, you ain't got to come today. You ain't got to come today. Don't worry about it. I got this.
Yep. And the men are the same way too, because I know they be there looking at the mothers.
Oh, that's it. I was about to say it works both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'll tell you the side of that is unfortunate. You can't deal with them.
Oh no, absolutely not.
You can't deal with
Well,
them.
I mean, unless you was dealing with them before.
Nah, because see, this is the thing that, and I know we might be getting off the beat path a little bit, people, but bear with us. The problem that it could potentially create is this: if that mother's son or daughter isn't getting playing time, she can be a real thorn. She can go to people and say, "Well, look, this person and I have been having some entanglements." And the only
Oh, that's
reason
when
I've
you
been
messing with the coach. You ain't supposed to mess with your child coach
A
now.
lot of people mess with the coach. Yeah, he
I
ripped
know,
it up
right?
at the house.
I know.
what were we just talking about before the show, Dave?
Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
lot. Then the
Yeah,
kid
but
be
no,
like,
but,
the
I
kid,
mean,
hold on. The kid be like, "Wow, I could have swore I saw Coach Dwayne. Uh, was he over here? When I went to use the bathroom, was that Coach Dwayne on the couch?" Boy, you just talking. You was
Yeah.
you was sleep. You was half sleep, whatever. You know,
You
you
was
don't be paying
dreaming.
attention. Yeah. Oh, okay. I just thought I seen him.
now, and you know the funny thing is, it doesn't have to be the coach. It could be members of the staff. I mean, it's akin to almost dealing with somebody at work, and they have a no fraternization policy. It really can't go well if one side gets jaded or disgruntled,
Yep,
and
yep.
they want to blow up the whole thing. Yeah, but that's the other
It could
thing.
get real messy too. The parents,
Mhm.
the parents are always the cons. They be in there messy. It's like, wait, didn't I see her with? Oh, okay, well, didn't I see him with? You have them coaches that's 1 year he with one mother, next year it's the other mother, and it's just like, yikes.
And we hate to put the negative light on that, but some of this is real, and we try to bring the real. Some people get into that coaching because of that. Like I was
Mhm.
talking to one of my buddies a couple weeks ago, and he was like, "Dave, you do realize some people get into teaching because they want to mess with kids."
Ew! Oh my god! Oh
I'm
my
just
god!
saying.
That is That's like perfect. No, not say it's perfect, but that is a good opportunity to do that. That's an easy opportunity.
I mean, and on the other end, some people become police officers because they were bullied and they figure like, oh, now I got the
Mm-hmm.
power and I'm on
Power
target
dynamic. Yep.
certain people. So it's always maybe a hidden agenda why people may do certain things, and that's not always on the negative side, but you have to still shed light on the negative side of why people do things.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I've seen some attractive mothers, but I'm just like, nah, it's not where I'm going. I mean, the other thing though, like, oh, let me get back to the isolation with the kids, and it's like you were saying, Shaughnessy, these kids getting invited to parties and they're not going. It can create a sense of dislike between people who otherwise have the reason to be adversarial toward each
See,
other.
I actually, well, with kids in this age, I think they actually do a good job in merging friends because there has been times where I've come around or I've been around Zion and he's like on FaceTime and I'm like, who are you on FaceTime? Oh, I'm on FaceTime with Daylin and Brianna and Justin. I'm like, okay. And on FaceTime with Justin, but Justin goes to school with Daylin. So how do you even know? Okay. So they do a good job. Like with Zion's birthday party, he had his school friends there, he had his basketball friends, and then now these kids are friends with other friends and stuff like that. So it is a it's these days they do a good job in merging their friends. I can say they do a good job in merging these them having these phones and these group FaceTimes and stuff like that. They do a good job in merging and mixing. Shoot, Zion got friends that are in Maryland that are friends, like one of his little friends from here. He was like, yeah, well, he wants to go to such and such party. I'm like, he don't even know him. He's like, yes, he does. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, if his mother says that I can take him with me to Maryland, then I will. I don't know. Like, and that they do a good job in merging their friends nowadays.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things a lot of people talk about when they talk about professional sports now in the age of AAU athletics. They say these kids aren't competitive, that they're too friendly. Now, that's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because at a certain point in time, if you want to win, you try to win. Now, it may not be, the cutthroat mentality. I'm not hanging out with him because he go to that school and he play for them and he hang out with them and I don't like them. I just want to beat their ass. Them days are gone, people. I'm sorry. they only exist for people who come from a certain time. So these kids, there's too much money, too many friendships to be gained, by befriending people. You can build brands, you can build networks, you can make plans to go places, just like Shaughnessy was saying. So there are opportunities to do things with each other that we never would conceive of. We would never, if you didn't have family out of town, going out of town was something that was a rarity. Unless you got a family union, you're going to a wedding or some other, God forbid, some other passing of a family member, you were relegated to staying in your hometown. And if you're in a small town, you forget about it. You got some kids now that are from smaller cities now. Case in point, like I said, we took our kids to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a major city. Granted, we live a stone's throw from Buffalo, but these kids don't go to Buffalo like that. And then you have some kids that are from New York City, they go to some other place and they say, damn, man, I ain't seen this much open land ever. So you get the exposure of traveling to different places, different culture, different people, different ways of doing things. And I think that is a beautiful thing for kids to get that type of exposure. But like I said, only select few are getting it.
Well, and I think also, even though sometimes they don't even know people physically, but with the state of social media, a lot of times you get to connect with people, and hey, you might find out like, oh, I've been connected with this person. We was friends for a while. Then you might end up at the same tournament or whatever the case is.
And that has happened too. Yep,
So
where
it's crazy.
where we were at Zion's game, and my boyfriend's kids, the same kids that he goes to school with. So now he's lost the whole game. Like, we're like, wait, where is he? And you look over the corner, he's over there with the older boys team. It's like, oh, okay, he knows them. Another thing is scouts and coaches and different recruiters. They are at those games and they're not looking for. I had a guy that came to me that was interested in Zion. He wasn't necessarily Zion is regular. He could play a game. He's not amazing. He's just regular at what he does. But what this recruiter for this Catholic school was what he liked about him, he said, I love his energy. I just love his energy. Like, he's good for any team. He would be good on any team. It's just his energy, his support of his teammates. I like him. I would like him. He's like, even if he's not up to speed, I'll coach him up to speed with everybody else. Another thing about it, I know my boyfriend a couple of times when he was younger playing AAU, he went to Germany, he went to Scotland, he went overseas a lot. The only reason, just like you said, that exposure, the only reason he necessarily got, because if you ask him, any travel that he's done as a child was sports based. The only reason he had his passport was because of basketball. Mm-hmm. The only reason he had his passport at a young age was because of basketball. The only reason he got that exposure to other things and other ways of life is because of basketball.
Your parents don't. don't mistake what I'm saying in terms of certain things. Sports is a gateway to a lot of stuff, especially for inner city kids, inner city impoverished kids. So if you have the means of giving your child an advantage, and even if that advantage is just in getting a scholarship, do what you can to ensure that your child has a chance at success. That's your responsibility as a parent, is to put your child in a position to succeed. And make no mistake about it, sports does that. So whether your child is in AAU or whatever it is, find somebody that it's an. Let me change it from sports to education for a moment. If you have a child that is inclined to music, you'll be derelict in your responsibilities as a parent to find somebody who can't help that child with music, whether it's to playing the instrument, write songs. Let's say you have a child that likes acting. Find somebody who can help that child get into plays, write plays, go see plays, learn about producing plays, learn about writing plays. You never know where that's going to take that child. Same thing with science. Buy a child a chemistry set. Buy the child books on chemistry. Take that child to a museum. Oh, this is the one thing and it may be just me. With all these higher educational facilities we have around us, a lot of these places do free things. They'll bring these kids in from they term it impoverished kids. They'll let them see a lab. They'll go sit up. I was gonna say a stratosphere. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. They'll go sit them in a and I always forget the name when I go to speak about it. Forgive me. It's an indoor. They'll go sit them in a planetarium. So if you have a child that likes astronomy, go take them to sit in a planetarium. And a planetarium, for those of you who don't know, is an indoor place where they can take a ball and they can simulate the stars at night, given a certain period of time. Segue, and I'm geek because I'm kind of an astronomy person. Next year, about this time, I think May, the solar eclipse, total solar eclipse, Western New York will be in the path of totality. So I'm kind of geeked to see that. But things like that, all of that stuff, help your child to develop that. Help your child to see that there's a future in there, because we're always pushing our kids towards a career that's going to make them money. And while money is something, it ain't everything. Ask me what I wanted to be when I was growing up. I'll tell you, an astronaut. The Chandler explosion changed all that. But that was my dream, be an astronaut.
Well, yeah, I think as parents, you have to seek that out and kind of find out what makes your kid tick and try to explore all avenues to put them in that position. And if you're not doing that, you may be someone. I mean, let's be honest. Our generation as parents, we have more resources than our parents had. So now, sometimes it's only an excuse if you don't try to figure out and find ways to get them to be successful. Now, granted, we know a lot of stuff. There are some free things, whatever, but a lot of stuff they charge it. These camps and stuff in the summertime, so everybody's trying to cash in, but it depends. You don't want to break yourself that you can't take care of your daily living stuff because you're paying all this money out into these different programs. But if you can, sometimes you might have to just nip it to one or two things or whatever the
Right.
case is You just got to try to make it work because you don't want them. I mean, no parent wants their child to be, and I'm just going to be raw, some bum ass adult with nothing going on. And it still becomes your problem. You're getting older and you still dealing with stuff with a 30, 35-year-old, and you're getting older. And you're like, man, it's the same shit that I was dealing with when you were younger. Like,
Yeah.
I thought I thought it was supposed to get easier because they're gonna keep coming. They ain't going nowhere. They're gonna keep showing up if they're not living with
Yeah.
you.
And also, parents, don't forget about high school sports. It's still a very good avenue for you to get your kids into. Why? Number one, it costs you nothing. Number two, you can be assured that along with getting the athletics, they're going to ensure that your child is doing well academically. Because if you're not doing well academically in high school sports, you're ineligible to play. So if you're a parent who has a child that's struggling academically, but they want to play sports, there's your discipline. Most kids are going to focus on getting those grades right so they can play. So you've essentially eliminated
Right.
two things with one stone, two birds with one stone. You got that athletics covered, you got the academics covered. And if they want to play, if they want to be a 3 or 4 sport person, they can do that.
Well,
They can
one of
run
the
cross country. Go ahead, Dave.
one of the things with that is when my time working at the high school level, you had some kids that they was nice, and you say, so why you don't play for the team? Oh, I play AAU. Huh?
Yeah.
So you don't play for your team? You do realize that college recruiters come to the high school, or they call the high school and look for it is a such thing as the NCAA clearinghouse that they have to calculate your grades and all that stuff, and you have to have a certain and I used to be the liaison for that, but I haven't done it in a while. But you would have to go through, and it was like a little system based on your grades. So just because you're traveling on AAU, you need to be on the high school team. You need, because that's why it's called student athlete.
Yep.
You're a student first, then an athlete. Just because Big John got this AAU team that go all over the place, and Big John probably should be connected with the high school, the local high school as well, so that you're still getting that academic piece. Because other than that, where are you going to really go after that?
Yeah.
To be in
And I'm
adult rec leagues.
Yeah. And I'm highly critical of academics and things of that nature, because that's why I got into AAU. The gentleman that brought me on board actually brought me in to establish an educational curriculum for his program. I just happened to fall into coaching because we ran short on some people. But make no mistake, I am academics first, second, and last. So when I see AAU programs, that don't talk about, pushing their kids academically, I gotta ask, what are your plans long term for these kids? We were fortunate enough that, when I coached here in Niagara Falls, that we had a couple of kids that went on to play varsity. And some of them are actually going on to college. And for me, that's a sense of gratitude, that I was able to be instrumental in that person's path towards success. So I see some of these kids, I'm like, man, I see you doing your thing. And they say, yeah, man, thanks. I said, man, listen, the thanks is not mine. I need to thank you for allowing me to coach you. I need to thank you for allowing me to mentor you. That's where the gratitude comes from me. I'm like, I did what I should do as an adult, as a responsible adult. I pass on the information that I have to the next generation that comes up behind me. So hopefully in 15, 20 years, they can do what I'm doing for the next crop of kids. Because if somebody, I'm 51, high school dropout at 16. If somebody would have told me at 17, I'll be a homeowner, I'd have ran for political office, I'd have did all this stuff, I'd have told me, yeah, right. Not me. That's not what I'm cut out to do. So we never know where our life path can take us. We never know what will spark an interest in us. We never know who plants that seed. And once that seed is planted and it's in the right soil, we never know what crops it can yield. We never know what flowers will bloom. So people never take yourself out of the running for something, and never close the door on an opportunity to teach a kid. Even if it's something that you don't think that kid might like or might use, you never know what that might yield.
And see, and one of the things is also important because keeping them busy. And again, like I said, it's different variables to that. You can keep them busy, but again, like I said, their body still has to have time to heal and all that stuff. But we talk about this. These kids, wild. They are wild. Like I can't even begin to tell you my Monday morning. I had to cover 2 classes today. First thing in the morning, I can't begin to tell you the first thing that was on their minds this morning. As 8th graders,
I'm trying to ponder it. I can't come up with anything that would seem abnormal. But then again,
I'm like, what? And they look, and I'm like, I don't know. I was a little geek at 12 or 13 years old. So, and they got so much exposure, but that's why also it's good for them to be involved and stuff. But I'm just gonna tell you what they was into. We get kind of crazy on this show, so don't mind it. They were talking about first thing, like I said, first thing this morning, like probably like after the advisory club, 8:30 is the first mod starts. Probably about 8:40, they was talking about eating butt.
What?
And I'm like, excuse me? And they didn't, I guess they looked at it. Oh, Mr. Glover just sitting in here. He ain't directly teacher. He our counselor or whatever. We're going to carry on with this conversation. And I said, y'all still talking about this, right? And they just kept talking about it. And they were intrigued and going into detail about it. And they're like, so you know how to do it? And the one girl was like, yeah. And I'm like, y'all gonna take y'all gonna take y'all Cornell notes on this? Like, what are y'all talking? Like, why is this a Monday morning conversation? These kids is wild. That's all I gotta say.
Wow.
Yeah, about that thing there. No, we're not gonna be able to do today.
So, and again,
boy.
And again, and it's probably the parent that think, oh, my little angel, she don't think about that. She's so sweet. And she don't think the conversations they have. So you almost know that once they got home and got on their phones, they looked into this because I mean they were going deep into it, like you do it. Shouldn't it be clean? How do you clean it out? Like,
oh no, ew, little kids.
Yeah, 8th graders.
Listen, I will say this much: having having done some mentoring, volunteer mentoring with 7th and 8th graders, some parents would be floored, and I mean floored, at the things they talk about. I've walked around the school and I picked up notes that have been dropped by students. I read them and I'm just like, okay, let me pass this on to the admin so they know what's going on. So yes, the conversations that these 7th and 8th graders are having are far more advanced than when I was in 7th and 8th grade. And I can only imagine what they are when you were in 7th and 8th grade. So, but yeah, these kids, to put it bluntly, some of them are getting it in. So, yeah.
Now I could have said, you know what? You're not gonna come to my office. We're gonna call your parents and all that. But then I said, the hell that's gonna do? What is it really go? What is it really gonna do? Plus, I'm covering classes, and I'm like, yo, this is my whole day is already thrown off. But it's like I could only imagine they had these conversations on a regular basis, and they comfortable. They have it on a daily basis, probably in their
And all
classes.
they're gonna do is be more sneaky.
Yeah. So I said, hey, I tried to intervene, but they were so intrigued about it. And this is the funny part of it all. This is the funny part. So one of the girls said, so your sperm donor taught you how to do, so you know how to do it? And the one girl's like, well, yeah, such and such. Then she looked back at me to see if I was still looking. She's like, Mr. Glover. Then she's like, never mind. So she was going to ask me if I knew how to do it. This is how bold and crazy they are. Then she said, never mind. Never mind. And I said, yeah, never mind. So the importance of keeping them busy, it's important because their minds is elsewhere. Their minds is all over the place. Again, they got the tools, they got the phones in their hands all the time. So as long as they got internet, they can Google or whatever, they put on YouTube, anything they want. So that's the challenge that we're faced with, is trying to find other things that occupy them besides their iPads and their phones for them to be successful. But then again, like I said, you still got to have a balance for them to be kids, because they still need to be around other people, not just their athlete friends, but their regular people. Because you want to be you want to have a balance as far as dealing with, multiple facets of people. So we're faced with a gigantum challenge.
and this is how you deal with that challenge. So I'm missing discipline at the top. Parents have to, the first person that we always have to discipline is ourselves. I'll say that again. You can't start anything with anyone or anywhere else until you yourself are set. So whether it's something as serious as losing weight, changing your diet, starting a routine, it requires discipline. And at the core of discipline is consistency. You have a lot of parents that are inconsistent with their children. And what do you think your child is going to pick up on most? How to exploit you. So if you're not so if you're not consistent with doing your homework, checking in, making sure that all the stuff that you are supposed to have done, you get done, that kid is going to find a way to get there and get out of doing it. And that becomes harmful to the kids. See, we always think about discipline as physical. So when somebody asks if you discipline your children, some people say, no, why would I want to do that? because you need to teach them. You need to instill in them what discipline means. So don't always think that discipline means to spank or to hit or it's corporal punishment. Discipline could be something so simple as going to bed at the same time every night so you get a good night's rest. So when you wake up in the morning, you hear that alarm, you get done what you need to get done, and you get on your way. Getting to the bus stop at the same time so you don't miss your bus, so you don't have to go back and ask Shaughnessy to take you to school because you missed your bus, because you were messing around with your cell phone, doing stuff that you shouldn't have been doing because you're not disciplined enough to say, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
There's a
Good
time
point.
and place for the cell phone. It ain't right now. I need to get my behind to the bus stop so mama ain't got to take me to school. Discipline.
See,
Go ahead, Dave.
and the thing about that is, damn, I dread it. That I got sixth graders next year. We about to go through a whole shift with admin and all this stuff. But I got sixth graders. So one of the things we talk about establishing routines, and that's part of discipline. So I always ask, say, what time y'all go to bed? And they're like, and I said, because as sixth graders, y'all like 11. Y'all probably should go to bed like 9, 8:30, no, like 9, 9:30. 10 o'clock would be like the latest or whatever, but probably before they like 9:30. Really? Nah, I go to bed at 12. I go to bed at 1. I go to bed at 2. And I'm like, how does that work for you when you come into school the next day and you cranky, you irritated? Because all y'all say is, well, you don't like this teacher, they irky and all that. That's because you have not had enough sleep. Like, how many of y'all give y'all phones, have to turn your phones in, or you put it away that it's not in the bed with you, or whatever the
Screen
case is?
time. Yeah.
So it's a lot as far as establishing routines and stuff, and most of them don't have no routine. And they'll say the same thing. So what do y'all do after school? First thing I do is I'll make me a sandwich or something, and then I get on my game. And they never mention homework or anything. And then I go outside. And I said, hold up. So I never heard y'all mention homework.
Studying.
Oh, yeah,
homework.
studying. We don't have homework. Stop. Please stop. Please stop. Like, who y'all talking to? Please stop. Well, we do, but and then they tell their parents, they're like, y'all got any homework? Nah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You fucking for real? Are you for real? You really don't think they ever have anything?
I had a teacher that didn't give the kids homework, where I actually went out and I had to buy not I had to, but I bought workbooks and stuff, because you're not gonna come home and chill, like find something to do. But that is a thing where the teachers are not giving them homework
because they know it won't get done.
Yeah,
That's why.
It might be, but
and you know the teacher said that. The teacher said that everybody doesn't have the same support, so I don't want to have to worry about, blah 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 blah. Try to get things done during school hours and have activities, and I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy.
And that could be the case, but you know what? If you look on whatever system they go by, Schoology or whatever,
they have activities.
Yeah, they missing assignments, so that's your homework. To come home damn, I missed this assignment. I got to get caught up. That's your thing. But they think that, that passed by, so I'm moving on to the next. No, you still have to do that. So you have to explain them. It's like when you have bills, like, damn, I didn't pay this much, whatever. It don't go away. It just accumulate. Then now you done fell so far behind,
right,
that you can't get yourself out of this hole.
Right.
Like your minimum payment used to be low, but now it's so high because now you're 5, 6 assignments in each class. Mm-hmm. What you gonna do in the quarter about the end?
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, no, I will tell you what, and I'm going to go back to the AAU. I've seen it. When I say he brought me in to run the educational component, I would see we would get these kids. We would tell them, look, this is how we had our AAU set up. If I had to, because I was able to go into some schools because I was already in with one school admin, and I know others because I ran for school board, so I was known as a person who was academically based. We sit home with our kids what our academic expectations were for our students. Not anybody else, just the students that were in the basketball program and just signed up for the mentoring program. Every 5 weeks, we were going to get a progress report from every teacher that student had. If that student, if they were playing basketball, they had to have at least an 80 to an 85 average. If not, you sitting right here, you're gonna focus on your schoolwork. You're gonna hear the bounce during practice. That's gonna be your motivation to get your grades right. So there were times when I would go sit in on disciplinary hearings for some of these students. They would say, "Look, your grades are this, this, and this." I would say, "Hey, look, ain't no basketball till you get this right." Now, I'm not at liberty to say what any other program does. It's not my business, and I'm not here to comment on it. The only thing I'm saying is this: parents need to, let me rephrase that. Parents should be checking their child's progress periodically.
Periodically, all the time. That's your business.
The reason why I say periodically is because if you have a student who's responsible and they've done their due justice and their due diligence.
I still used to get book bag checks. My mother used to bring
that's not
probably like once a week. Probably like once a week.
No, it would be random. It could be 2 times in 1 week. It could be 1 week without it. It could be 1 time next week. But it's a random book. Let me see a book bag. I'm going through planners. I'm going through notebooks. Well, why did you get this wrong? Well, what happened here? And I could have still have bringing home A's and B's. Well, what happened with this? Well, what happened with this? And it's like, dang. Well, did you see if you can make that up? It's like, girl, it's an 80. It's fine.
Well,
like
the only thing I want to say is, you want to allow your child the freedom to make mistakes and experience errors, because at a certain point in time, they're going to get from underneath your tutelage. So if you're consistently there and you're consistently pushing them, when they get the chance to exhibit some freedom, they're going to rebel against it, and they're not going to understand why. This is why I'm a favor of allowing a child in some regard to have a negative experience and then allowing that child to figure it out, provided that experience doesn't hurt that child long term. And I know it's not conventional, but we have to understand that everybody's going to make a mistake. And the only way we can figure out how to get around that mistake is if we actually make it ourselves. Billy Joel in the song said, the only thing in life that's truly our mistakes. Think about it. How many times has somebody had a relationship and they learned from that relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, a co-working relationship, or a friendship, and they say, you know what? I will never do that again. And when I see that warning sign, I'm out. That's part of discipline, is understanding that when you see something that potentially is a pitfall, you know how to navigate away from it. You know how to pivot away from it. You know what to go away from. And it's the same thing that we see on the streets. We always talk about street culture and how it's not good. How do you think some of these street kids get to be so goddamn smart? They see something, they recognize it, and they say, you know what? The last time I saw that, this happened. I'm going home. Or I'm going to a friend's house. Or I'm going to call the police. Or I'm going to do whatever I can to keep myself from getting into a bad situation.
So one of the things you do want to teach kids situational awareness, that they'll understand, like, oh, I know they might have not said nothing, but I know mom and I know mom or dad might pull up at the school, or they might at any time ask me about my grades, whatever. So
Right.
you kind of give them room to hang themselves, whatever. And you want to teach you want to teach them that like find out what makes people tick. You already know that it's coming. It's up to you to say it's coming. So I want to cover all my tracks. I want to make sure I'm on point. Some kids get it and they know, like,
Yeah.
oh, I better do this. I better do that because I know they haven't said anything, but I know it's coming because they routine like that. And and it made me think about something. I don't know if you or Shanazi said it a while back about the routine. And I said, some kids study parents' routines. They know
Right.
mom or dad, they don't fall asleep about 9:30. And that's when they get older and they start stealing
House.
freaking cars and shit and sneaking out the house or sneaking someone in there. And they say they going to be sleeping. She going to be sawing wood. Sawing wood. She ain't waking up. So I can be able to do this and do that. Trust me, they studying you. They're watching and they know what they can get away with. And so that's part of it too. You gotta, as parents, you gotta be on your P's and Q's, and P's and Q's. And I know some of us are getting older or whatever the case is, but once they know, they'll look at you. Y'all could be sitting there watching the movie. They're like, she out for the count. Ma, get up and go to bed. When they tell you, Ma, get up and go to bed. They planning something.
They got the house party crew on
Yeah.
tap.
Yeah, they
FaceTime,
yeah,
party
yeah,
time.
they scheming on something. Go to bed, Ma. Dad, get up. Yeah,
Right.
they're like, yo, get your ass out this living room because there's something about to go down here. And once you go in that room, I know you ain't waking up.
Yeah, man. So it's we have to realize that children aren't necessarily becoming smarter or more sophisticated, is that the adults are becoming dumber. and I hate to put it to you. I hate to put it to people like that because our parents would always tell us, look, I was your age once. I know what you're trying to do. Now, these kids are a little different. Their methods of getting by have been aided. So if you as an adult, you're not up on some of the latest technological crazes or ways in which kids can use their cell phones, you behind the 8 ball. And this 8 ball don't stop rolling. And the more rolls, the farther away it gets from you, the farther you are behind, all because you didn't discipline yourself. And your kids are more disciplined at you trying to get away with stuff than you are trying to keep them under wraps. Now, understand something. That doesn't mean that you have to be a helicopter parent. Like I said, you want your kids to be able to make mistakes so you can offer them guidance, so you can correct them. Because I'll put it to you like this. If you as a parent, let's say you have a 14-year-old young man. He knows you go to sleep at 10 o'clock. He asks if you could go to the party. You say no because your grades have been slipping. He's pouting, he's mad, he's fuming. He said, I'm thinking to myself, I know what time you go to bed, so I'm scheming and I'm plotting. I'm going to go to that party. Sure enough, 10 o'clock comes around, you crawl into bed. He sneaks out the window, leaves the window open. 2:30, he comes back. That window's closed. He has no key. How he getting in the house? Now, see, the tables have changed. Tables have changed. The chairs have been switched up. The music stopped playing and you ain't got a seat. So you sitting on the porch about 9:30 in the morning, Saturday. You got your coffee, reading the newspaper. Guess who comes strolling home? You ain't even got to say nothing. All you got to do is say, how did you get outside the house And where did you come from? Just like that. And just let the excuses flow. See, this is parents have to understand that kids are going to do age appropriate stuff. And you never want to punish a child too harshly for doing age appropriate things, but you want to make sure that when they do something that's age appropriate, that there's a punishment for it.
Right.
And I think that's what we've gotten away from when we talk about discipline, is for the age, is what they did appropriate. Sneaking out the house at 14, unless they did it and went and got in an accident, somebody was killed. Discipline them age appropriately. For now, that might be taking away their cell phone for a week. That might be making them go cut the neighbor's grass for a month. You don't get no pay. It might be a combination of the two. Every time you come home, you sit on the porch and you watch your friends go by. And then on the weekends, you're going to spend it doing chores all week. Or that little party you was talking about going to 2 months from now, you ain't going. Oh, them Jordans I told you I was going to get you, you ain't getting them. We, as parents, of course, I don't have any kids, so I have to say this lightly. Parents have to find a way. You have to find a way
to reach that particular child.
Correct. To reach that child in a manner that's not only effective, but is poignant. So they will realize that if I do something wrong, not if I get caught, because eventually everybody gets caught doing some shit wrong. But if I get caught, I'm going to have to pay a price. And if I don't know what that price is, I'm not prepared to do it. They will rethink. They'll say, you know what? I remember when I was 16. I remember when I was 14. I snuck out the house. My parents locked the window. I might got chased by a dog. I might got bit by a dog. Just stupid stuff. And I said, you know what? I would never, ever do that again. That's how you can discipline your child. You get your terrible twos. You might slap a hand or whatever. Because a lot of people have and this is something I want to address too. A lot of people have the misconception that you can't actually physically discipline your kids. You can, depending on what state you're in. What you're not supposed to do is leave any physical marks of you having done so. See, this is what our parents used to do that was so goddamn diabolical. They have you stand up there with your goddamn arms up, standing on some plastic runners till your goddamn feet hurt. Put your arms on, you get a smack. Stupid stuff like that. And it worked. Because you didn't like that physical pain. You do some shit you didn't do. You didn't like sitting in the house. You like having to do an extra chores. All this stuff works. All you want to do with discipline is instill structure and punishment for bad decision making.
Yeah. And again, you got to know your child. You got to know, like, what could I take away from them that I know it's going to be painful, or what have they been telling me about for the last month that's coming up that I can say, oh, your ass ain't going to that, or whatever the case is. So, but that requires communication. And again, sometimes we live in a world that parents and kids don't really communicate much. How was school? They head to their room, shut the door, and you don't really have no communication or maybe nothing in common. Now, one of the things with sports and stuff, you could always have those conversations on the ride there to the games or whatever case, to the practice, but you have to be enthused about it yourself. You can't be like, Oh, you got practice there? Oh shit, I'm so sick of this shit. When do this season end or whatever the case is? And they looking like dang, like this like the highlight of my day. And I gotta and well sometimes kids will pick and choose. They know if their mom or dad like, oh, I was hoping dad would take me or whatever. Or I wish mom was taking me because it depends on the deliverance of the attitude you may give for that event. But they're perceptive. It's a lot of good and bad to it all. But the bottom line, we always say, know your personnel, know your children. They studying you. They're
Yeah.
studying you. The key thing is how much studying have you done of them.
Yep.
That's the key thing because
Mhm.
they got you on point.
I, it's funny you say that because I was fortunate, when when I was in high school. I like I said, I dropped out at 16. There's a bunch of nonsense behind that. I won't get into it. But when I went back, the one thing that always kept me grounded was sports. I knew I had to be performing at a certain level academically to play. So at that particular time, not only was I engaged in sports, I was also working. So I really didn't have the time to goof off. While everybody else is talking about this, I was like, I'm leaving from here, man, and I got to go straight to work. And literally, that's what I did my junior year. I ran track and play football my junior year, and my grades had never been better. I remember my senior year, man, just almost being a goofball with uh with my civics class. I ironically, and I had to scramble, just to make a passing grade so I could graduate. I was like, I can't be doing this dumb shit anymore, man. Literally, I'm too old to be doing this dumb shit. So that's what I mean by age appropriate behavior and allowing your child to learn. Even though at that particular point, being 20, I was a young man, but I was cognizant enough to know that there's some things that I should be doing because I need to get my ass in gear. And we see that, with a lot of the younger generations, particularly the males, is because they don't have that foundation at home. They don't have that guys. They don't have somebody to say, "Hey, look, you're not always going to be able to fly by the seat of your pants. You gotta have something set so that when you need to call on something solid, call on somebody solid, they're there for you." And I think that's one of the things that a lot of men struggle with is having solid people to call on. And it's really unfortunate in this day and age that a lot of men don't have a few solid friends in their group, people that, when they start to get off the beaten path, they can say, "Hey, look, I need somebody that's going to push me in the right direction, somebody that's going to give me, some words of encouragement, some solid advice." So, if I've been married for 15 years and I found out my wife cheated on me and I'm sitting over here mildly depressed, who can I call? I need to be able to pick up the phone, and I don't need to be able to call my pastor. My pastor don't know me like that. I need to be able to call one of my boys. Speaking of which, I had a relatively speaking, a young man um, just transitioned, and me and this cat and a lot of our people used to hang out, man. We used to go to Pleasure Dome together. So, to his family, I want to say I offer my sincerest condolences, to Jamie and his passing, man. That it hit differently, man. That's why I'm getting
Jamie
my ass back in the
Jordan,
back.
Mr. Poppy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Uh, yo, I remember Jamie was fitness before we heard about fitness, man. I mean, chisel, just chisel. I mean, you talk about an Adonis, man. That brother's put together, man. So when I see something like that, it rocks me to my core, man, and it lets me know, that what we call life, man, is fleeting. Really, it is. Him. Uh, Another icon is, Jim Brown, man. He's gone. But Jim, lived to be a ripe age. But, brothers, we gotta start holding each other, accountable for our physical health, man. For our physical health, our mental health.
You live to be 87, 90 and all that stuff. You got the most of you. That's a great thing, whatever. But when you start dying in your 50s and 60s, shit ain't right, man.
Right.
It ain't right at all. It's not right at all. That's the challenge that we're faced with. And people think this stuff is forever. That's why I'm like, people are, I don't speak to this. I don't speak to my sister. I don't speak to my brother. I don't do this and that. This shit ain't forever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand when people be posting stuff and they be like, "Oh, I'll see you in heaven. We're gonna have a party there." That party gonna be very quiet. It ain't what y'all think it is.
Why?
It ain't the same thing. It ain't nothing better than living.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do agree.
Unless you suffer it to the
I agree.
point that you like, you got older, or sometimes not even older, but for some things, and I'm gonna talk about the black culture. We think we going to freaking fantasy island.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we gonna meet people. Hey, mom. Hey, dad. Nah, G. Nah, it's gonna be mute.
Yeah.
It ain't no party there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know if any pastors listening, y'all probably like, damn, man, you blowing up our thing. Oh well.
Yeah, because I know last I stepped on the scales about 2 or 3 days ago. I'm 286 pounds. By the end of the year, I plan on being under 220 at least, down to between there and 210. I'm trying to live to be at least late 60s, early 70s. However I look at that particular time, I'm still trying to get there.
I want to be 100.
Oof. Well, I mean,
I believe you gonna make it, Sean.
I want to make it. I hope so. My great grandmother will be 95 in July.
Well, we had another panel member whose grandmother was that also. Yeah. I mean, it's so much of what.
And she's not a decrepit 95 either. She just, the most she need to do is park in handicap so she close to the door.
Well, I mean, geez, that's. I mean,
now them keys somebody need to take them keys away.
She still drives.
No, I need to take them keys
drives.
away.
And she still gets speeding tickets, y'all.
I just think, and I know she listened, and I brought it up before. I don't know when I'm gonna put the cap on my mother for driving. She like, you ain't put no damn cap on me unless you gonna take me around. And I can't promise that either.
My great grandmother is very conscious on what she can and can't do. So she's not gonna drive. She's not going nowhere where she can't. Where it might be nightfall and she's there. And please believe, if she is somewhere in nightfall, she's calling somebody to come get her because I'm not. She don't drive in the dark. That's one thing she don't play about. She not driving, and I think it's just her being scared.
And my mother spoke.
Oh, cue day.
I said that my mother spoke. Put the comment on.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah, man. I
want to grow old so I can. Another reason I want to grow old and that old because I can say whatever I want to say. My great grandma say what? Huh?
You still can.
No,
you just say to the right person.
My great grandmother is disrespectful sometimes. You just be like, what? What's it?
I got an auntie like that too, but I ain't gonna say her name.
You know the funny thing about that, Shaughnessy, is once you arrive at a certain age, it's not the disrespect, you've lived long enough to be able to offend anybody. You know, I tell people there's nobody on this planet that's capable of offending me. And I
No,
say
she
this.
says it, and then she doubles down and say, "Yeah, I said it." She meant to be.
Well, that's what I mean. And that's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting ready to get to. You know why she can say that? Because everybody that she needs to respect is dead already.
I know, right?
The only person that can talk shit to me is the person that changed my diaper. They're
Right.
all dead. So anybody else opening their mouth to me, you better come correct. If not, you got some words coming back at you, especially if you don't wrong me.
She can do what she want, eat what she want.
Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, when you
That's
live
why.
that long, it's just no point. Ain't nothing to really argue about. Whatever. You just let them. You just let them. You just let them live. Have at it.
Right.
If you smile, if this make you happy, good. I'm with it. It's
Sometimes.
no need to try to monitor this and then. Oh, you shouldn't be doing this because they reach the pinnacle of success. They reach where a lot of people haven't reached.
Right.
So if they want something that's unhealthy or whatever the case is, so be it.
And it's so funny, like the circle of life, because sometimes it's like, no, why do you have to eat the apple pie before your dinner? Why? Why?
That's what she want.
And it's like Krispy Kreme donuts. Oh my gosh, it's gonna light up her day.
Ooh.
If I show y'all if I show y'all my Amazon and y'all see how many orange Tootsie Roll Pops I send, y'all gonna be like, this is I know that lady got sugar. Nope, she don't. Well,
just the fact that she's that age and being able to do that should bring a smile. Like, man, she's still alive to do it.
Her and her friends, they go to Hardee's every morning, out the house at like 7:30, 8, and they be there until like 1:30, 2 o'clock all the time, every day.
And that's and I think people don't really understand the nature of how that keeps people living. You have something to look forward to.
Exactly. And they go there, they get dressed. I mean, they got their slacks on, they crease. She got costume jewelry on. And it's like, where are y'all going? And it's like, at one point, I'm like, yeah, she is crazy. Then I go there, and it's about 8, 9 of them there. And they all dressed, y'all. They all got on slacks. They all nice and done up. And I'm like, so y'all put lipstick on to come see? Okay. All right. Cool. The men, too. They all try to be gentlemen. They like, oh, I'll get this for you. Sir, no, you need me to get that for you.
You sound like you player hating.
Yeah. Get you on while you hating from the sideline.
They do birthday dinners. So every month they go to a seafood restaurant. It's like 15 or 20 of them at dinner. At supper. I'm sorry, as they call it, supper.
And you know what's funny? I'll tell you a story. Years ago, when I was doing security at the casino, I would see this older couple, had to be, if not in their late 50s, early 60s. They always rode through, and I think one of them had a physical. Hold on. They would always ride through in a quad wheelchair. The wife was sitting on the lap of the husband, if you will. And I said,
ew.
No, they were older. And I mean, there wasn't nothing nefarious about it. That's how they got around, because one couldn't move. I said, that's commitment.
But you said they were in their 50s and 60s.
It had to be, I don't know their ages specifically. I'm just saying, in their late 50s, if not early 60s. And they were married. So I'm thinking they had to have been married at least 45 upwards of 50 years.
No, some of these old heads be getting married at 50 and 60.
No, this was an older couple. You can tell they've been
they've been together.
Yeah.
Because one of
there was certain things that you see people
my great grandmother went to a wedding. She was like, one of her friends was getting married. And I was just like, well, what friend? And when she told me, I'm like, they getting married to who? Why are they getting married? Like, for what? Why you get married at 78?
I will tell you why. Number one, insurance. If I have a medical medical, not medical insurance, I'm sorry,
Life insurance?
beneficiary package or anything like that, I want somebody to cash in on it, especially if I have some
Oh,
ungrateful children.
I
Hey,
got
why do I
you.
want to let the ungrateful children? They wouldn't come to see me. They want to put me in a nursing home. They don't get nothing. I'm gonna get married so she can have it, just to
I
spite
tell
them.
I tell my great grandmother that every time she say something crazy, I tell her she right on her way to the nursing home. Right on her way.
Mm. Probably cuss you out too.
Yeah, cutting you off the wheel. But
And
I
the
mean,
kids get it's so funny because the kids get such a kick out of her cussing. They get such a kick. And she doesn't cuss often, but when she does, when I tell y'all my kids be giggling up a storm,
ooh,
that is their favorite
ooh.
thing. And she, just like I said, she's not all, her and Layla, they mess around all the time. I have to tell her, like, sit down. Like, why are you chasing after a 7-year-old? Like, no. Like, no. And Layla, why are you making her chase after you? Don't do that. Don't do that. She tripped somewhere or something, then what? Like, why they both of y'all have to be babysat?
I mean, it's out there. So I mean, did you see what Roxanne wrote Dave? Yeah,
Y'all, I think if I
that was
live to be that old and I'm single, I think I might be a hoe. I think I might be a hoe.
I
That
think that's an excellent topic. One that we you know we I don't think we've touched on many end of life situations or things of that nature. I have to be honest with you. And
Oh, she said
it's
that's
out
another
there.
show, Hospice
It
Husbands and
it
Wives. I
is
think
out.
I will watch
It,
that.
it is out there. We would have to. I'd have to do some research on that. But I'm sure, I am absolutely beyond a reasonable doubt that there are parents out there who have um, life insurance policies, wills, that they are cutting their kids out of them
Yeah, absolutely.
because their kids either wanted to put them in long-term care or whatever the case is. And it's unfortunate. I know, when my mother transitioned, she was staying with the youngest sibling.
Right,
Granted, my
right.
mother didn't have anything to pass on to us in the terms of material things, but we did our level best to make sure that she never saw the inside of a nursing home. And
Right. Yep.
that's a credit to my younger sister, uh, all my older brothers, myself included, that we did what we could to assure that she lived. You know, she died at 84, so I mean, she wasn't a spring
Yeah.
chicken. We did the best that we could, and given the circumstances that she came from and that we were born under, I have to say we did a damn good job. So, but that is definitely something that merits some discussion, without a doubt.
And I always say these conversations build upon one another. They're never ending. It's
I
always
need her to
something.
pitch that idea, Hospice Husbands and Wives, because boy, that would be fun. But y'all know in the old folks' home, they be having crabs.
Mm. Crabs. Oh.
Yeah, it runs rampant in old folks' homes, which is insane to me. When I found that out, I was just like, what? And term for long term facilities.
Let me read this comment for Roxanne. What's happening is people are dating who are sick and hiding the issues. Then you marry them and get stuck as a caretaker and handle all the bills.
Oh,
Yeah,
A
that's
dead man don't got no bills, so I don't know about that.
you said a
well,
dead man don't have no bills.
Yep, I ain't paying nobody bills that's dead.
Mm.
well, I mean, it'll be something we take a look at. Hey,
No, but that's something that uh somebody a friend somebody that I know did. um so my not my great grandmother's, my friend's house is no longer in her great grandmother's name. It's in the children's name because when her husband died, that debt, they try to come for it. Or when they
Yeah.
go to nursing homes and stuff like that, they try to come for it. So you know what you do? You gift your kids the house.
Yep. Yeah, and
You,
they
you
cannot
sign
touch
it on over.
Yep.
Because I don't got nothing, you can't get nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you know, it's always different strategies and things that's being learned down here that people may not have thought about.
Yeah, because I can't remember the specifics on it, but sometimes when you go to the nursing home facilities, they try to take some of your assets or something
Yeah.
like that, or some parts of your home or whatever that they can for like payment and stuff like that. But no.
Yeah, they'll start putting liens on things.
Yeah, they start putting. Yeah, that's exactly what I think they do. They put liens on it, I guess for like collateral or for the bills or something like that. No, you won't. Not over here.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy the things that go down and happen.
Yep.
And
Because that's another threat that the lady get. We'd be like, we'll kick you out, and you won't have nowhere to live. And she be cracking up because she know that I'll say that her name. We gonna evict you and kick you out. Keep playing.
Yo, man, life is funny, man. I will say that, but
the wolf is tired. We about to get out of here because I'm
It's
about
Monday
to watch
night, man.
the last 9 minutes of this Lakers game and see if they can
What
survive another day.
What's the score?
97-94 Denver.
Oh yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh man, I'm gonna have all the attitude tonight.
Oh, so your man, he likes the Lakers, huh?
Yep.
If the Lakers lose, I'm gonna be pissed, whatever, and I'm just hoping they can pull it out and survive another day.
I hope they do too for my home life.
Gets real, and that's another topic. When man, sports team lose, how are they? How do they
Now
handle
y'all see, now y'all
mental
see
health?
why I have a don't disturb from September to February, because I am hot when Dallas loses.
Oh yeah. Oh, and that's the other team that I just at this point I'm like, well, I think honestly this year he's lightened up on the Cowboys. I think he's learned to live with disappointment from them, so he's lightened up. It's not as bad when Dallas lose, but
Fuck that. It's always terrible when they lose. So fuck
no, I'm saying it's not as bad for me.
Oh, that's why. But like I said,
just start pouring shots. I
don't drink, so it's really terrible. But that's why I do better listening to the games on the radio or watching on the app, because I can put that shit down and walk away. On the TV, I'll be screaming all kinds of epithets like, "Yo, what the?" Listen, you people don't want to be around me. I'm just. It's like a fight between me and my alter ego. My alter ego ain't got off the canvas, and I'm still beating on him.
And in the ER, Super Bowl is when we get the most domestics. Yes. I'd rather work on 4th of July than Super Bowl.
Oh wow!
Teams lose or they party all damn day and then want to beat up somebody.
Yes, sir. Yes, that's what happens.
And
I can see it.
That's when you get all your domestics. Super Bowl.
Because you're drinking all day.
And you would think it's like drunk driving and stuff like that. Nope. It's domestics. Give me New Year's. I take off every Super Bowl. Not because I'm doing nothing. I don't want to deal with it.
Now, I could not imagine being violent during the Super Bowl. And the funny thing about it is this. I'm old enough. Well, David and I are both old enough to remember when Dallas and Pittsburgh played and Jackie Smith dropped that goddamn touchdown.
Yeah.
No, I made with somebody else that day because I was mad as hell. I remember I bet Tony Blackman 1 cent on that Super Bowl. I never paid him that 1 cent.
But see, I can see also like the Super Bowl start at 6 something, so most people might start having their stuff. People coming
They
over at
start
2,
drinking at
3
3.
o'clock,
Yeah.
and they drinking and all that. Then you got men, women. Somebody gonna get out of pocket somehow, some way. It's gonna be an
Yeah.
argument, and all those hours of drinking, it's gonna be something. It's gonna be something. Never
That's
fails.
crazy.
Never fails. So
That's
I can
crazy.
see it. So we gonna get some closing comments on. We talked about we talked a lot
Yeah.
as far as the youth sports. Then talked about the elderly, the aging, transitioning, and stuff like that. So what is your closing comment?
I would say just make sure your kids are doing something. Don't force them to do anything, and don't force anything on yourself that you're not able and capable to do. Um, just make sure everybody is happy and healthy. Because if kid not happy and healthy, then you're not happy and healthy, and vice versa. If you're burnt out and you're struggling with paying this and paying that, it gets tough. It gets tough
That's,
both ways. So you got to find that balance.
that's a legitimate point right there. That's real.
Whitney Houston,
Hmm?
bless her soul, made a song so many years ago called Children of the Future. I believe that. Teach them well and let them lead the way. But in order to teach them, we have to know something. So parents, educate yourselves beyond what you think you need to know. Because if you can't teach your child, no one else will. No one else should. That's your responsibility. As I often say, parenting is not a job, it is a responsibility. None of us draw a paycheck from teaching a kid. All right. And as always, growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
And for me, parents, you always got to be doing something too to push yourself to the limit. Again, like I said, they're watching you. They're watching you. It's just not, going to work, your 1 or 2 jobs or whatever. You got to be doing something to enhance yourself. And we always talk about trying to reinvent yourself, building your brand. You got to be doing something special to catch their interest because they like to see that. Because if you come in as just a parent working 2 or 3 jobs, you're probably not in your best of moods. You're probably not in your best element. But if you're doing something outside of that you're passionate about, it brings you happiness or joy. I'm sure kids, again, they're watching you, so they're like, man, oh, mom or dad got this going on, or they're gonna be in a good mood today. They're gonna be all right. Then they're gonna pass out. We're gonna take the car, or whatever the case is. We're gonna sneak out. But they're watching you, and just make sure you have a balance in what you do and enjoy yourself too. Can't be just work, running them around, and you deadbeat tired, and you in a nasty, irritable mood. You gotta have. We always talk about take time for yourself too.
Yeah.
Gotta find that. If you can't do that, your ass will be in a casket somewhere, and I don't know who gonna take them to wherever they got to go. Especially if you croak at a young age. So take that time for yourself to decompress, breathe, and say, "Man, I needed that. I'm all right," because you got to recharge yourself. You don't do that, it don't matter. It's all for nothing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they make it to the NBA, NHL, baseball, soccer, whatever the case is. You're dead. You'll be dead. You'll stroke out or something because you didn't take care of yourself. So keep that in mind too. The healthier you are and the better you are, then that exuberates on others. So with that said, I'm out. We out. Lakers down by 4, 6:20 to go. It seemed like the Nuggets trying to put LeBron James in a coffin tonight. But we'll see what happens. I appreciate you all who came in, tuned in. Please like and share the thing. And thanks for Herb, Shaughnessy giving y'all expertise. We'll see y'all next time. And don't
All right,
forget
y'all
to
take
join the
care.
counselor's corner because it's always lit in the counselor's corner.
Enjoy
we
your
out, people.
evening.
Good
All right.
evening. We out. Peace.